You know what it is, man. This one's gonna be about a phone call I got from a father and a son. They having an issue. The father did 30 years. He wasn't there for the son, so he's in a similar situation as mine. So they reached out to me to get my opinion. So we're gonna speak on that today. Father and son relationship after 30 years, being away from the father. All right. All right, Unique Mecca Audio, man. I'm here, man. Let me talk about this one. This is about a father and son relationship and about being incarcerated and taken away from your family, and friends for X amount of years and then trying to come back and reconnect. I had a brother call me on the phone and he had his son with him. The brother's my age, the son is my son's age. The son is 40 years old, you know. The brother got a number of kids because he was on the street doing what he do, and that's what happened, you're running up in this girl, that girl, you know what I mean? You breed them, talking raw, you breed them. You don't get them pregnant, you breed them. You know what I mean? So, he bred a lot of different women, and had a lot of different children. So now the children is all over, the globe, and they all doing different things. Now, he said that his oldest son, has a brother that's 6 months younger than him by a different mother, right? Now, the mother of the younger son kept the father in the son's life as far as means of communication with letters, phone calls, visits, and things like that. The other one lived too far to go visit him because she moved out the state. I think he did a state bid, so she couldn't bring the son to see him, but she never badmouthed the child to the father to the child, and she just kept it 100. Now, here he goes, he comes home, and he's home after 30 years. So now he's home after 30 years. The oldest son, don't have his GED. The one that, didn't have the communication with the father. He don't have his GED. He don't have a driver's license. He don't have a job. He's been, staying at home with the mom, but he's been looking out for the mom. Put your comments in. Make sure you put your comments in, because it's a real touchy, subject right here. Because I know this touches bases with a lot of different people that's listening, and that's why my demeanor, my tone is a little bit more different, because this is a serious conversation. Now, the child don't have anything, The child is 40 years old. His brother is 39 years old. He's a year young, 6 months younger than him, call it a year. So now, the younger brother, he has a good job. He works at a law firm, and, he started out as far as, just emptying garbage in law firm till he wound up going, taking up paralegal classes. And now he does investigation for the law firm, and he's making good money. So he done went out, he bought 3 cars. He moved out his mother's house. He got his own, apartment. He goes to work every day, and, he's living life, But his older brother, he haven't seen him, but maybe, he used to come visit him in the summer times, while the father was away, and spent time with him, so they know each other. So he knows his siblings. They know each other good. They got nothing but love for each other. But the younger brother is really like the older brother because he has his stuff together. And me, might be wrong, my opinion, I think that's attributed to the mother keeping that child in communication with the father. So even though the father was incarcerated, the father was still allowed to help mold that child into into the man that he's become. Now, the other mother that lived too far away that couldn't bring the child there is, he's having a little, slower time in getting a grasp on what it is that he's trying to accomplish in life. I spoke to the son and I spoke to the father. The son is really intelligent, got great ideas. I mean, everything that he spoke on is 100, but he haven't activated any of them. So I'm letting them know that you can have all the ideas you want in your head because our mind is infinite. We still have memories and thoughts, ideas and opinions from we was, 7, 8 years old that we remembered. And now here it is, 33 years later, you 40 years old, and you got all this in your mind, and you're telling me all these good things that you want to do, but you haven't even accomplished or even attempted to accomplish the basic things you need to do, which is get a GED, which is get a job, you know what I mean? And things like that. But he's doing the right thing as far as being there for his mother, but he can't be there financially. You know, well, I say he's not there financially, and that's because he don't have a job. But if he had money, I know he'll take care of his mother because I hear it in his voice. He's a good young man. Now, so we have this going on. What y'all got to understand is when a child is taken away from his parent, you understand what I'm saying? When a child is taken away from his parent, it's like, you know, the birds, how the mother feeds the bird, and when it gets strong enough, it just pushes it out the nest, and then the bird knows to flap its wings to fly, to survive. But we as humans, you know, we have too many choices, you know, and we got the will to survive or not survive. So when our parents push us out the nest, we don't know which way to go sometimes, you know? Like I know, you know, I like to ride. You know, I like to ride. Let me tell you about a female also. I'm going to get back to that because this is the way I ride. If you don't like the way I ride, I'm going to give you 3 seconds to tap out, go somewhere else. But this right here is a powerful juke. All right, your 3 seconds is up. Gunshots, tap out. Now, for the ones that stayed, it's a young lady that I met when I was in prison. She told me that I knew her from I was on the street, but, you know, reconnected with her in prison, and she told me that she has 3 sisters, and when each sister turned 18, the mother packed her bags and put this young lady on the street and said, "You're an adult now. You have to go out there and survive." And I'm like, what? You know, I couldn't understand it, couldn't believe it when she told me it. The mother packed her bags at 18 and put her out her house and said, "Now you have to survive." So first thing came to my mind is she might run across a wolf like me. You know what I mean? She might run across, you know, somebody that's, you know, don't have the right intentions, you know, that just looking at her for physical beauty instead of her emotional or inner beauty or whatever, and just take advantage, just run up in her. Before you know it, you know, he breed her, and then after he breed her, now she gets on welfare, and then, you know, she starts getting a government check, and that becomes her way of life, and then here it is 30 years later, and now she's still on welfare, and done had 4 other kids. The other kids done grew up. They done had their own kids. So now she's a grandmother, and they all still on welfare because the mother put them out the house. That could have been a scenario. But this young lady that I met, the mother put out a house, and she wound up staying on the streets for a minute, you know, staying with friends, doing what she had to do, complaining about what the mother did. And then she got herself together, and she packed up and she moved to North Carolina. She went to school in North Carolina, went and got a job, and, you know, wound up getting pregnant, took care of the child, wound up having a couple more kids and took care of them. And she worked, took care of the kids, and she made sure the kids went to school and did the same thing. And when those child got 18, she didn't do the same thing her mother did. She didn't just put the child down. She sat the child down and she explained to the child that this is life. You know, you're 18 now, so in order to stay in my house, you have to finish school. You know, go get a trade. You have to do something to better yourself. And right now, that young lady and her daughters have a beautiful relationship. They all have successful careers. I mean, and that's the way that works. So now, let me ride back to, you know, the first scenario with the young man, 40 years old, and his father. So now, when the father first got locked up, so you understand, when you start your bid in prison, because this is still a prison story and a real life story. When you first get locked up and you in prison, you know, you have to, you know, you have to find a way to survive on the inside, you know. Some people pick up the phone and call home to their mom, to their homeboys, to their homegirls, to their girl, to their whoever, and they ask for assistance. Oh, I need $20, I need $50, I need $100 because it's commissary. They got some new shoes I want on commissary. And they always calling home asking for something. Those type of people, I didn't respect. I'm going to just keep it 100. I didn't respect them. Because I believe that a man is supposed to take care of his own responsibilities and shouldn't have to reach out, you understand, for help unless he needs help. Now, you don't need a pair of sneakers in school, in the prison, because they give you shoes and they even give you some Bobo sneakers. You know what I mean? Meaning some cheap joints. You know what I mean? So anything you want beyond that, you have to work for that. You have to put the work in for that. You understand? So now we're in prison and we have to learn to survive off the land. But at the same time, you get people that, like I said, call home and ask their loved ones for commissary money every week. And then you get some that, start gambling or might start, you know, getting high, So they call home and they need $20, $30 because they need to buy some stamps. You know what I mean? They need to buy some stamps so that they could gamble. They need to buy some stamps so they can buy food from the people that's cooking the food because they too lazy to go out there and get the food in the same manner that the people is getting it and put it together and, survive off the land, as we call it in prison. See, I give y'all jewels over here at Unique Mecca Audio. That's why the Cash App was right there. You know what I mean? Make sure it says it was created in 2020. The Cash App still works. It wasn't created in 2023. That's the duplicate. But then now, so they're calling home every day asking for something. After a while, that gets heavy, meaning the family loves you. The friend loves you. So the friend have no problem of sending you $100 here and there when they have it or when they could stand it. But when you're calling home 2 and 3 times a day, send me $40, send me $50, send me $100. And as you getting the money, you're getting high off of the synthetic K2, in the prison. You're getting high off the Suboxones in the prison. You're gambling on the tickets in the prison. These are all vices that you have to support yourself. If you can't support these vices, then you don't need to do them. One thing I always said, you know what I mean? Now, no matter how much a person get high, if they could afford to do it, it's not an addiction. My opinion. Kill me for that. Put it in the comments, If a person could afford to get high, don't matter how high he's getting, as long as he can still take his responsibilities, function, he can afford to do it, and it's not altering his lifestyle or taking away from him and his family. But when a person is getting high and they taking their paycheck at the end of the week and get $300 a week, and they take, $280 and buy drugs and only got $20 to get to work during the week and buy lunch, and some spend the whole $300 and don't have nothing. So this is what it is. Now you're addicted because you're letting the drugs supersede and control who you are. You understand what I just said? Pay attention, because like I said, this is real serious. This video is not for views. None of these videos are views. It's just to give the jewels, to us so we understand. But like I said, when you're in the prison, that's how you break your family structure. That's how you separate things. When you start putting too much weight on a person. In other words, you made the choices to do what you had to do that landed you in prison. So now you have to do what you have to do to survive in prison. So that's why I tell the youngest, don't go to prison. Don't break the law. Because when you do that, then now you're calling mommy. Mommy, I need money for commissary. You're calling your girlfriend, sweetheart, baby, boo, I need money for commissary. Baby, they got these new sneakers. Now you calling home and you dependent on other people. When I asked those same men that's calling home dependent on other people, why was you hustling? What was your purpose in hustling? And the first thing they tell me is, oh, I had to take care of my family, We ain't had nothing to eat. I had to pay the bills. And they got all this stuff they got to do. Okay, well, now you have a life sentence. So who's taking care of the family? You know what I mean? And they'd be like, nah, but, no, but nothing. So you can't take care of the family because you're in here with a life sentence because you chose to go the wrong route to do the wrong things. And now you're in here with my dumb ass. So here we go, 2 dumbasses trying to make things better for the next dumbass that's looking at this so that they don't continue to be a dumbass. Because that's what we were, dumbasses. We out there selling drugs, say, I'm trying to feed my family. I had to take care of my son. My son needed new shoes. My mother didn't have nothing to eat, so I had to put food in the fridge. And we have all these excuses that we call mollifying. Mollifying is when you make an excuse to make a wrong right. Those are all mollifying answers. See, I'm giving y'all jewels, a lot of jewels over here at Unique Mecca Audio. Sit back and pay attention. So what I'm saying now is you got some dudes that go in there and try and find the easy way out, even in prison, like me. I was one of the easy way out dudes. Now, I go in there, and the first thing I did, I know drugs. I've been selling drugs all my life. The first thing I did is find out what kind of drugs they were selling on the compound. I wanted to taking a couple of dollars I had, invested in some of the drugs, broke it down, boop, 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 gave it to somebody to sell or even sold it myself, whatever I chose to do. And I survived from selling drugs, you know what I mean, while I was in the prison. But at the same time, you had other brothers that was in the kitchen that would go to the kitchen and, buy an onion for, 3 stamp, buy a green pepper for 3 stamp. I'm going to put a video up of a brother cooking a nacho meal with the stuff that they had in the prison so you can see where the stinger is. Y'all want to see that, put it in the comments. But these are the things that I'm talking about. So instead of, going to the kitchen and buying these ingredients you need to cook your own meal, and then whatever you have extra, then you sell those plates to make a couple of dollars so you got enough to, go back and buy more onions and green peppers from your meal last night by selling a couple of plates that you had over. All you do is throw a couple of extra bags of rice, you know what I mean, in the pot, you know what I mean? Or what, in the plastic bag being that we use in the stinger, and make a big bag of rice. You get a couple of, extra green peppers and onions. Green peppers and onion, 3 stamps a piece. These are stamps. Each stamp is worth 25 cents. There's 20 of these in a book, come up to $5, So you spend 75 cents on an onion, 75 cents on a green pepper, and 75 cents on a green tomato. That's 9 stamps. You double that, that's 18 stamps. That come up to $4.50 that you spent for the meal. You take 2 bags of rice out your locker, that cost you $1.10 a piece. You know what I mean? So now you take the 2 bags of rice, you put it in there. When it blow up, you got enough to make a bowl and then still have 3 bowls left over to sell. And you can sell each plate that you make for $10. So you're going to double your money off of 1 plate and you still get to eat. So now you're sitting there, you got $20, you ate a meal. You understand? This is how you hustle off the land. Did you hear what I just said? Pay attention. I want to have to rewind this. I don't want to slow this down. I want to keep this flowing so you understand where I'm going. So now I done took, $4.50 and I made $20 profit and I got a chance to eat for the night, So out that $20, I take, another 18 stamps and I do the same thing the next day. And this is the way it worked. That's called hustling off the land. But I chose the easy way out. I chose to just go get some damn heroin and weed and, whatever they had on the compound. Pay the dude to put up some wine and, and I did all the illegal stuff because I was still caught up in trying to manipulate my way through the system. But at the same time, I was putting myself in harm's way because if I got caught doing anything that I was doing, I wound up getting more time. You understand? But the dude that's making the food, if he got caught doing anything what he's doing, all they're going to do is take the food and throw it away and say you're not allowed to have the onions, green peppers, and tomatoes in the unit. You know what I mean? So therefore, they're going to take it. They have no problem with you even selling the food because they know we have to do as I just introduced you to, eating off the land. That's how the administration works, so you understand. Now, so what would you rather do? Call home every day to have somebody send some money, have them look at the phone like, damn, when is this thing going to stop? I'm talking about, I know dudes that call home 3 times a day, sometimes 5 times a day, and they'll spend all day on the phone calling everybody they know asking for money. If somebody give them, $50, agree to give them $50, 9 in the morning, the next morning they calling to ask them for another $50 until that person stops answering the phone. Or they tell them straight up, yo, dog, what is you doing? I'm not a bank out here. You know what I mean? I still got to work. I can't send you $50 a day. And then they get mad. They don't understand that. They say, oh, he's a sucker. He ain't looking out. When I was on the street, I did this for him, that for him. And these are the games that we play with ourselves to justify us begging from on the inside. You know what I mean? And that's why I say the game is to be sold, not told. Because I used to, dictate letters to a dude from D.C. that used to type really good. So people used to come to me and they wanted me to write letters. I charged them $20 a letter. I gave my man a book of stamp to type the letter. Letter only wound up being a page, so he got $5, for typing a page for me. And dude would give me the letter that his people wrote. I read the letter and I dictate what what dude should say back to the person. I got $20 for that. That's called selling the game. It's the same thing like I'm up here on YouTube and I'm giving you these jewels. Then the Cash App come on the screen. I tell you that make sure when you hit the logo, it says it was created in 2020. And people say, oh, you're begging, you're playing Reverend Ike. No, the game is to be sold, not told. You can't get these jewels anywhere else. If you can, you go get it. You can't get nothing in this world. Forget America. You can't get nothing in this world for free. But for some reason, people caught up that on YouTube, you're supposed to get game for free. I'm home now. I've been here 3 years. I've been on YouTube. I know these games are valuable because I get DMs, I get phone calls. I put my phone call on the screen so people could call. You understand? My time is valuable. When you call me and you want me to sit on the phone and you just, happy to talk to Unique Mecca Audio, and you got a situation in your life like your son, is not working at 40, don't have his GED. See, I'm pivoting all this back. When all this is going on, you sit there and you want to keep me on the phone, but you don't want to send me $10, $5, $1 for a Cash App. I don't ask nobody for no specific amount. Whatever you donate, just like you in church, just like I'm preaching. I'm preaching now. I'm preaching to the hood choir. And, the same way they pass the plate around, Cash App is on the screen, that's how it's placed. You see, do I work this in? This is called hustling. This is hustling off the land. But the land is the United States of America where my 10 toes is planted. This is hustling. So I'm not sitting here walking up to a window, say, hey, give me $1. I'm broke, I'm hungry, I have no job, times is hard. No, I'm selling you game. Period. That's why the game is to be sold, not told. But lames that have no content, they try and grab it, pick it apart, switch it around, and try and make it something that it's not. When bottom line is, they also have their Cash App up there. But they have no game to articulate it, to let it be known that what I'm giving you is worth your donation of whatever. Look at the president of the United States. Look at the congressmen. Look at the senators. They have, their donations where I saw, yesterday, they, I think it was Chris Crispy or one of them, I think a dude from Jersey. One of them got 40,000 soft donations. Are they begging? Oh, nah, but when a black man comes on YouTube, give you game to make your life better, to help you survive, now he's begging. You see what I'm saying? But this is what we do to our people. We continuously try and bring our people down. Whenever our people do anything productive, we always have those that's going to try and bring us down. But I don't feed into that, and that's where that's at. But now, like I said, do call home every day asking for money. Can't believe it. Every day call home. Oh, I need this, I need that, I need that. Then the people stop answering. Now there's some scumbags and all types of names that they're telling the people in jail. And before you know it, they run up a debt. Now everybody come to them, want their money because it's commissary day. The family members and loved ones just stop answering the phone because they got tired of him asking, and now he owes a debt. So now in order to pay that debt, dudes push up on him. If you're aggressive dude, or a slick talking dude, or a stupid dude, he gonna pop slick. Man, I ain't got it. My people ain't answering the phone. Now, I'm not trying to hear that. When I gave you my stuff, you told me you was gonna pay me on store day, and today's store day, and I want my money. I don't care how you get my money. You know what I mean? I tell you what, you could not pay me my money, by getting your knife, because we gonna fight for this money, because I'm not gonna have you take nothing from me. You didn't tell me when I gave you my soup or that bowl of food that I made, and I told you to get me something from commissary so I could buy more food to eat. Now I'm depending on you buying that food from commissary so that I can make more food to sell to make my money, and you telling me to stop and slow down my money so that you can sit here and find someone else to beg on the street. No, it don't work that way. So I tell you 2 ways. We can either do this. My cell is messy. You could go clean my cell and I'll take something off your debt. But you have to show me you willing to pay me back my money. I don't care if you clean my cell. And it's not a disrespect because you got people in the jail that's their hustle. And they don't have no egos, and they pride don't get in the way that I'm not cleaning another man's cell. I'm not spreading another man's, bed. I'm not washing another man's sheets. They got washers and dryers in the prison, And some dudes wash the clothes by hand. Some even wash the drawers by hand, but they get paid for it. They put on the rubber gloves and they do what they got to do, and they wash the drawers because they refuse to call home and beg their people on the street. This is how we hustle off the land. You understand? But nobody in prison, so you understand, for those viewers that's looking, Cash App is on the screen. This is game I'm giving you. Make sure it says it was created in 2020. It's not the picture, it's not the Cash App with my picture on it. Now, nobody in prison say to a man, he a sucker. He washing Johnny drawers. He a Maytag. All those little things that we said, in the state jail or growing up, because I don't know how they doing it in the state. I spent mines in the feds. In the feds, nobody look at it that way. Dude just say, man, do the hustling dude. Dude would sit there and get 10 dudes, to give them a contract to wash their clothes. That's to wash their underwear, their T-shirt, their sweatpants, their sweatsuit, and they personal items, and they'll give them $10 a week. He got 10 people. You know what I mean? That's 20 books that he's making. That's $100 a week he's making in the prison. Now with that $100, he go buy a joint, go buy some White Lightning, you know what I mean? Go buy some K2 synthetic if he want, or he could go buy a bowl of food from someone. Or he could put money on a ticket out that $100 from washing those 10 different people's clothes. And nobody looks at him any kind of way because he's taking care of himself. This is how we move in the prison. So if this is how you want to, live your life, continue to break the law. Continue to go out there and do what you got to do. But I just want you to understand that, this is the way it works, man. I mean, some people wind up getting high to do the time. Some people wind up gambling to do the time. You know what I mean? And some people, like me, go to the law library, do my time. So while I'm in the law library and a dude come to me and he say, yo, Unique, man, I see you in here every day. I'm having trouble finding this case or whatever. You know what I mean? I'd be like, yo, all right, I'm working on my case. Give me a book of stamp. When I'm done, I'll look up that case for you. And now I just made $5 to look up a case while I'm sitting there fighting for my life. And that's how you survive off the land. You see the different ways that I'm giving you these intricate jewels on how to survive in prison. You're not getting this nowhere else because everybody come up here with a bull crap. Now, listen, I wasn't running around the prison. Let's get that right. I wasn't running around the prison stabbing nobody, acting up, but I was running around the prison hustling. Yes, I was hustling, selling heroin, selling Suboxone, selling K2, selling weed, selling White Lightning. I did all of that. I'm not proud of that. I shouldn't have done that, but that's what I chose to do because I wanted the fast money the same way I wanted on the street, and I'm here being honest with you. But bottom line is, I wasn't calling home. Let me ride, man. Let me ride. I'm gonna tell you another one. I like to just ride with my people so that they understand where my mentality is at. Because when I'm dead and gone, y'all play these videos back 20, 30 years from now, you're gonna say, damn, that was a bad mother right there. You know what I mean? Let me tell you, I caught my mother when I was locked up, right? This had to be about 2008, 2009. I called my mother and I tell her, hey, Mom, call such and such, they got some money for me, So moms called them, they didn't answer, So I called moms back later on that night. I said, did you get in touch with such and such? She said, nah, I didn't get in touch with them. I tried them again in the morning. Moms called them in the morning. When she called them, she didn't get in touch with them. When I called my moms back at 12 o'clock, my mom said, oh, I didn't get in touch with them, but I sent you $100. I said, why you sent me $100? I've never asked you to send me nothing. She said, no, because you had me calling your friend trying to get in. Your friend didn't answer, and I figured you needed it, so I wanted to look out for you because I don't want you not having it in there. I don't want you needing nothing, so I sent you $100. I said, Mama, you should never did that. One thing I want to go to my grave saying, my mother is alive upstairs right now today, and she'll tell you and stamp this story. One thing I told my mother is that I don't want you to ever send me a dime while I'm in prison because I hit the streets to take care of you. So now that I'm in here, I don't need you to take care of me because you raised me as a man. I made bad choices. I didn't listen to you. I didn't go to school. I didn't get a trade. I didn't do nothing you said. My choices landed me here, so I have to take care of myself. No. So I never picked up that $100. Now, to even show you how crazy this is. Back then, we just had Western Union to get the money in. So she sends the money Western Union, and I come out of jail 23 years later, and I was talking to a female friend of mine, and she was telling me, oh, you could put your name in a Google search, and it tell you if anybody owe you money, da-da-da. I see your name came up that Western Union have $100 for you from 2008. And this is 2023, And I said, they ain't got no money for me. I never had how could I send money in that time to have the thing, So my mother said, 2008, that's when I sent you the money. So the girl looked on things and said, yeah, your mother sent you $100 and either you could pick it up or your mother could pick it up. I never picked that money up from 2008. Wallahi, true story. My mother called to have them send her that $100 back. And they sent her that $100 back, and my mother tried to hand me that $100. I said, Mommy, from I hit the street and decided to sell drugs, break into houses, and do everything else that I was doing, I never asked you for anything. I never took anything from you other than the love that you gave me because I wanted to give back to you as my mother. And I never took that $100. My mother I never allowed my mother to send me $1 while I was in prison. But you got dudes that call home to mommy every day. You mommies know, your sons call. You girls know because your boyfriends call. You know, you sisters and brothers know because your brothers and sisters call. You know what I mean? I call a homie for money. Let's get it right. Because we hustled off the land on the streets together. So I call a homie and say, yo, send me something for my commissary. So I'm not saying I don't do that, but I'm never going to ask my mama to send me nothing. And my baby mothers would tell you, I never called them and asked them to send me nothing. I never called the baby mother to ask her to send me anything, you know, while I was in prison, any money. I might tell her, go see such and such, he got some money for me. And then when he give her the money, I say, I take that for yourself and our child and send me the rest. But that's how you live off the land, you know? But anyway, gunshots. Let's ride. Let's go back to my brother that called about the situation with his son. So I'm talking to the son on the phone. The son got all these reasons that I call excuses why he's in the condition that he's in. Oh, I don't like to ask nobody for nothing. Oh, what's that other one? I don't like to ask nobody for nothing. Then he said, I can't even think of it. It was all a bunch of crap. You know what I mean? A bunch of excuses. Yeah, I'm just a little slow getting started. I'm like, yo, my brother, you 40. When are you going to get started? You're 40. I've been home 3 years. I have a direction. Share with me your direction. Where are you trying to go in life? What are you doing to get there in life? Oh, I'm still putting it together. At 40, you almost a half a century and you haven't even begun your journey. And been out here the whole time. I've been out here a lousy 3 years that went by like this. I know it went by like that when y'all remember me getting up here, and I evolved into this, because this is called hustling off the land. I give you what you need. I give you what you request and what you thirst for. Because you give me what I need and what I request and what I thirst for. And that's just for you to listen to me, for me to vent this, because this is therapeutic for me as well. So we both helping each other. You understand what I'm saying? And yes, I have sent a few people on my from my fan page, you know what I mean? Excuse me for saying fan page, what they call the subscriber page. I've sent them a couple of dollars, Somebody called me the other day, show you a good one. I don't even know them. And call my bluff, I'll put them on the phone. I'm telling you, call my bluff, I'll put them on the phone. Somebody called me the other day, and they telling me, yo, Unique, times is hard, we backed up, da-da-da, you know what I mean? Everybody we called, they not doing nothing, da-da-da. I called such and such, they said that they couldn't really help, but for me to call you, do-do-do, mind you, I only been home 3 years. And here's somebody calling me, telling me they need help. They said, we got this and that, but we got to pay our storage. It's $300, $320. You understand what I'm saying? I didn't make them feel uncomfortable, because just for them being strong, it's my man and his girl. You know what I mean? I didn't want them to feel uncomfortable, so I just said, all right, well, send me a Zelle. They said, oh, it's my phone number. And while we was talking, I sent them $300. And I met them on YouTube. The brother, her man did time in prison. He was in a couple of prisons I was at, you know what I mean? But we didn't hang out. We didn't do all of that. But you know what I mean? We was both in the struggle together. So if a brother need help, I'm going to help a brother. So I sent him $300. And it's just somebody that watched my YouTube. So when I say the game is to be sold, not told, that's what these donations go towards. They go towards me buying these fancy shirts. Me buying these expensive bucket hats. They tell me, oh, you the bucket hat king. Let me show you. This is just what's next to me. Look at my bucket hats. You see I got flavors? You know what I mean? I got to buy these, to look good, to represent you. So when you tell your friends and family members, man, go check out Unique Mecca Audio, you want Unique Mecca Audio to look good. Because that's what family do. This is a family channel. This is a gangster channel. And that's how gangsters move. But suckers don't understand that because they have nothing to give. And that's why I say my Cash App is on the screen. You see how smooth that is? That's how family do. So, we just here for each other, man. My brother needed some pictures. I went to the joint with Guy Fisher, the ceremony they had for him. And Big Joe had a party Last Wednesday, they had a ceremony for God, I think Saturday night. So I went to both of those joints and I took pictures. My man sent me a link that I have to send him, not have to, it's my choice, that I could send him pictures, through this link, and they print them up and they mail them, being I don't have time to do all of that. So it costs $1 a picture. I got to send my man 150, 200 pictures. So that's $150, $200 that come out my pocket. You know what I mean? But this is a man that's been down 30 years. But that's how we look out for each other. So you understand, So, it's hard out there, man. But like I said, there's many different ways to eat off the land in prison. Like I said, you could sell drugs, you know what I mean? You could sell food, you could clean clothes, wash clothes, you could iron clothes, you could clean cells. There's all types of ways to eat off the land that you shouldn't have to call home. You have to put your pride aside, because it's your actions that wound you up in jail. So young as if you don't want that, don't break the law. Don't come off the street, because when you go in jail, you're going to call people that's not going to answer the phone that you was there for and you feel should have answered the phone. That's just the way it is. I'm just keeping it 100. I can't say no different. Then the government really looked out. I'm going to have to do a whole video on that, but I'm just going to tap on into this for a second. Then the government looked out and they took all the cigarettes off the compound. I used to buy a pack of Bugler from the commissary. I'm going to go buy one. I went to buy one. I'm a cheap dude. I'm going to keep it 100. You know what I mean? I'm going to keep it 100. Gunshot. To me, being cheap as they'll call it, but I call it smart. I go in 7-Eleven and I seen a pack of Bugler that they used to sell in the prison. And I said, let me get one so I can show, my viewers what it looked like, So I said, how much is that pack of Bugler? They told me $6. $6 for a pack of Bugler. When I was in the prison, I was getting it for $1. So I'm not giving them $6 for that right now. You know what I mean? This is just me. You know what I mean? Gunshots to me being cheap, fugal, whatever you want to call it. You know what I mean? So I had to get used to that. I had to get used to the price raise on everything. I go in the store, and how much was it I bought? I bought 2 pizzas the other day. I bought 2 Sicilian pizzas and a soda. They charged me $12. You know what I mean? When I was on the street, that was $4, $4.50. You know what I mean? The pizza was like $1.75 a piece. You know what I mean? And then the soda was like 50 cents or 75 cents, come up to less than $5 for 2 pizzas. I paid double that. Call me cheap. You know what I mean? I just got to get used to this new world and the price raise and things like that. And after these prices that I'm seeing, 2 little slices of pizza, because the pizza wasn't that big. It was Sicilian, so them square, thick ones. The pizzas wasn't even that big. But for them to tell me $12 for 2 slices of pizza and that, it made me stop and think, no wonder people is homeless. So now, I'm driving in New York, getting off at the Cross Bronx over there by Webster, and, if y'all ever been over there, you know what I'm talking about. There's dudes over there holding up signs saying they're homeless, they starving, they can't eat, I had to give a brother $1 that day after I witnessed the prices, because now I know why he can't eat. Besides the fact that he getting high too. You know what I mean? Let's not forget that. Gunshots to him getting high. But bottom line is, I just had to give him $1 because I realized how hard it is out here after seeing them charge me $12 for 2 slices of pizza and a smoking can of soda, man. Okay, let me give you a note and I'm going to tap out. See, this is how I ride. I just like to ride, man. I just like to ride, man. Because that's how we do it. Mecca audio! At the Mecca. Now, last night I went out. I said, let me go for a ride. I take the convertible out, drop the top. It was humid. It was nice. I got the top down. I'll pull up and I'll go, I'm driving around the city. It's Sunday. I'm driving around and I'm looking for a liquor store. I wanted to get, and don't laugh. You know what I mean? Don't laugh. Because, when I was at the guy fishing joint the night before, I bought, I bought 2 bottles of rosé. And, respect the guy fishing and the people that threw that party because they kept the prices on them reasonable. They sold them for $150. I seen people sell rosé for $350 and $400. So I bought 2 bottles for $300. Once I saw it was only $150, I said, man, they playing fair. So let me support the hustle. That's how we support the hustle. So I pulled out $300 bills and I got 2 bottles of rosé. You know, gave one to the homie, and I sat there and I drunk one. So I treated the homie to a thing, and we did what we did. But I like when I'm at home and I'm chilling. I like to drink, and don't laugh at me, yo. You know what I mean? I'm even gonna put y'all on something. So I guess this is a plug. Maybe I should contact them. I like to drink something they call sweet bitch. You know what I mean? If y'all ever had that sweet bitch, you know what I'm talking about. Sweet bitch got a nice taste, go down smooth, and it gets you nice and mellow. Big shout out to the sweet bitch. You know what I mean? Now, all right, calm down. Let me finish my story, man. Calm down. Let me finish my story. So I felt like, drinking some sweet bitch last night, and I ran out my last bottle the other day, sitting in here just chilling. So I go to New York, but it's after 10 o'clock and all the liquor stores are closed. I didn't even realize that liquor stores close at 10 o'clock. I normally always have my liquor that I want ready, and I don't really even drink like that. But, so I pull up in the Bronx. I'm over there in the Bronx by like Jessup. You know what I mean? And I'm driving, up towards, University. And there's a little bodega there, and there's this big sign in the window that they got cold beer and all this in there. So I go in there and figure, okay, I'll go in there and go get me a... You remember back in the days, for my old timers, y'all youngins don't know nothing about this. Remember that pink champagne and golden champagne? I like those sweet tastes. When I go to the club, I like to drink, if I don't drink Casamigo and cranberry, you know what I mean? I like to drink, a Long Island iced tea or a pina colada. You know what I mean? With my homies drinking Henny and all that, but it's not good on my stomach, But anyway, so I pull up in the store, I go in the store, and I forgot what the name of that joint they had. But they had some joint in there, and Spanish people didn't even speak English. I asked them, how much is that pint? So they had a pint or something, and they showed me the top of it. They had the price on it, and it looked like it said $9.99. So I said, okay, cool. I'll buy that little $10. So I said, okay, give me 2 little small bottles, the little nips of some white liquor, because that was some brown liquor. Man, I can't think of the name of it, because the first I heard of it yesterday. But, my people told me everybody drink it. So I get 2 little bottles of Red Parrot, I think it was something Parrot, something like that. But it was some white, vodka. So I get 2 of them, and I go get me a kiwi strawberry juice. I poured out a little bit for my brother that died and my other comrades that passed. I poured out a little bit of the kiwi strawberry, and I dumped the 2 of those joints in and shook it up real good. And I just, chilled out, and I just sipped on that while I pulled over and, just enjoyed the freedom of being out of prison after 26 years, drinking this little, strawberry kiwi with this vodka, But when I went to pay for the 2 little bottles of thing, the kiwi joint, and the quart of whatever the hell it was they were selling, the dude told me $28. You know what I mean? Yeah, I go. Gunshots. To me being cheap again. I said, yo, my people send me donations at my Cash App. I'm not going to sit here and give you $20 for that little ass bottle of some corner bootleg liquor you selling in the corner, because I feel like I'm taking advantage of my peoples. And that's why the Cash App is there. Make sure it says created July 2020, and it's not the one with my picture on the logo. You know what I mean? Period. All right? So now, I put that joint back. I'm going to keep it 100. I put that. You can keep that. He said he wanted $20 for that joint. But for the 2 little nips and the kiwi joint came up to $8. You know what I mean? I don't even know how that came. I had to get something else, but I didn't. You know what I mean? Because they said $28. And the price on the little nips was $1.50. So I figured 2 of them $3, the kiwi $2.50, $5, but he charged me $8. But I just gave him a $10 bill, and it was a young lady in there with her son, so... when she came out with her daughter, she looked like she was coming from church, a really nice young lady, a Spanish young lady, because we over there in that neighborhood. So she come in and she's picking up these stuff, and her daughter grabbed while she holding the daughter grabbed a bag of chips from off the counter, and she said, no, put that back, we can't afford it. And I'm in here buying liquor, So when they put it there, when they told her to put it back, because I was standing behind her, and the dude rung up what she had. It came up to like, $18, So I gave them a $20 bill and said, here, I'll pay for that for her. You know what I mean? And I took the chips that the little girl put back, and I got the chips, and I handed it to the little girl. But that's how you give back to your people. So the young lady turned around and said, thank you. Would you like my number? I said, no, I wouldn't like your number. I didn't do this for your number. I did this because you're a good woman. You out here. It's after 10 o'clock. It looked like you coming from church or family gathering. You got your beautiful daughter with you this time of night. I said, a matter of fact, do you live near here? Do you need an Uber? You know what I mean? So she said, yeah, I live up by White Plains, and we down there. So I gave her $30 for Uber, you know what I mean? And, we waited and we called the cab, we waited and, I helped her get in the cab with her and her daughter and gave her $30 to get home. You know what I mean? But, I didn't do this for a number. I didn't do this for props. I'm not telling you for props or nothing. I'm just telling you that I did this because these are the things that God sees. That's why we have the month of Ramadan. The month of Ramadan meaning that we are rewarded tremendously more, for our good deeds during that month than we normally would get, So I want to rack up as much good deeds as I could possibly get right now while I'm still living, so that when it's my time to go to the afterlife, maybe, just maybe, God will forgive me for poisoning my community. And that's why I apologize to my community, and I'm trying to make it right for my community. But this is just how I was raised. But I've been on here 45 minutes, man. I just been riding, man. But y'all have a good day. Cop the book of Rowan Harlem. Subscribe at Unique Mecca Audio on my YouTube channel. If you're not subscribed, subscribe. That's all I ask you. Subscribe and make sure you put up an emoji. That's not asking too much. You know what I mean? Subscribe, put up an emoji, hit the like. Cash App on the screen if you could afford it. Whatever you want to do, let's get this thing rolling. And, we're going to tap out now. All right?
Cheers, cheers, toast the crime, toast the crime, the crime, the crime, the crime.
Fresh out the can of 26, yeah. He back on the strip, getting back in the mix. Yeah. What he mentions a gift. Bruh. You stand up 10 toes down, and I suggest you pay attention to this. Real. Take a little gully posse and put it in Harlem. He cut from the bottom, came up from the bottom. Drop the book, you should go and get it. An Instagram page and a YouTube, you could go and visit. Yeah. Then you could consider yourself LinkedIn. Real. Sit front row and get Jews from a kingpin. How he went through it, so you ain't gotta go do it. To not pay attention would be stupid. Talking about a man that probably put your grandfather on. Probably the reason that him and your grams got along. A man that generated millions on the block, did his time, never squilling to the cops, make an audio. Get it live like 2 G's in the 90s. Drop top beamer so shiny. I let shorty go, she was whining. Treat her like my past, she behind me. Spin a couple bands on the Dapper Dan. You be back again, getting green like a Packers fan. No cap, it's a roaring uptown. They be horn uptown, Dominican bust downs. Now we on the positive, we got a lot to give. Now he trying to stop the kids from being inoperative. So take heed, homie, lend a ear. He started in uptown, he gon' finish dead. But now it ain't about selling drugs, buying cars. It's about buying property to make the community yours. So we can give back to the youth them. Cause they the truth them. And bless up to all the road men.